Okay. Good morning to all of you. Now, last two lecture, just we go with a overview of what will be an embedded system syllabus and structure. What are the parameter of embedded system syllabus will be a consider. What are the importance of embedded system? What are the application of embedded system? Which company will be hire the embedded system student, which having the knowledge of embedded system student. Then we go with the last lecture. Unit first, that is embedded system, that is introduction to embedded system. In that we learn the basic concept of embedded system, definition of embedded system, then characteristic of embedded system. We observe the number of characteristics like performance specification, low cost, time specification, minimal user interface, reliability, stability, and some figure of merits, the parameter which verify the performance of system that we go with learn in a last lecture. Now today lecture we go with some microcontroller consist of basic element. What are the element which consider a microcontroller? So which element we have to consider? The microcontroller will be a consider. So basically, we say that there are 5 to 6 elements need to be a consider every system in a controller. Is like first CPU that used to read, decode, and execute the instruction. Whatever the instruction they have to read, decode instruction given by an execution will be done by the central processing unit. Second is the memory. So memory is a storage device which used to be a store the instruction. Then whatever the program data that all will be a store into a memory. Then peripheral. So peripheral, the function of peripheral is to connect input output devices to the CPU. So what will be execution will be done through the micro controller that will be interconnecting the input output device CPU memory with a microcontroller. So third parameter is the peripheral, which function is to connect the central processing unit to input output devices. So just this block. Then the input output devices, which is interconnected with a microcontroller, with it may be a consider the sensor, switches, all the input devices, whatever required to be a process, and the microcontroller that is a repeat input output as a directed by the instruction. Whatever the CPU will be execute the instruction that will be executed by the microcontroller and the output devices. It may be a consider motor, LED, a number of output whatever we require. So basic element of microcontroller, so this consider with that parameter, that is central processing unit, memory, peripherals, input output devices, and microcontroller. So these are some just introductory part. Okay, what parameter and what element will be consider in a any processor, or maybe we say that a microcontroller that will be a consider. So this is the element, basic element of the microcontroller. So considering this parameter, we go with a classification of microcontroller, that is MCUs. So depend upon the capability and availability use of the controller. So microcontroller are classified in 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32 bits categories based the primary on the width of their internal database, the size of their data register, and the third parameter is the amount of data the CPU can process in a single instruction cycle. So generally we say that the microcontroller will be have a number of classification depend upon three parameters. First parameter is width of their internal database. So what is the capacity of that internal database which passing the data between the peripherals, that it may be a CPU to controller to input output devices, memory. So the width of their internal database. Second, the size of data register. So indirectly we say the size of memory. That will be a second parameter. And the third parameter is so the amount of data the central processing unit can process in a single instruction set. That will be a process in a single. That it will be important that. So number of instruction, number of data will be executed at the same time will be a matterable. memory is matterable, peripheral size is matterable. So these are the three important parameters which will be considered for making the classification of microcontroller. So depend upon that, they have a four type of classification. One is related with a 4-bit microcontroller, second is a 8-bit microcontroller, third is a 16-bit microcontroller, and fourth is a 32-bit microcontroller. So these are the four classification which have our syllabus. So considering this parameter, the 4-bit microcontroller, these are the most basic and least expensive and suitable for simple control tasks within the minimal computational requirement. So it is a very less amount of bit. That is 4-bit is bit, so requirement of memory is less. The requirement of energy, that is a battery, will be required less. So they are used for a small application, and it is depend upon the something with. So minimum requirement will be used. So what are the characteristic of 4-bit microcontroller? So simple in structure, first things, very low power consumption, minimal memory requirement. So that is a basic characteristic for the 4-bit microcontroller. Where the which are the application will be used in a 4-bit microcontroller? So it may be primarily found in low cost application, single function, where will be only single function will be is like a only open and close a door, or on off a tube, on off a fan. That is small application will be considered, single application will be considered, or which will be a part of large system where will we do only a single application. Then single function, then electronics devices like electronics toy, remote control, simple calculator. So 4-bit having a less memory right now, have a less speed of execution, because only 4-bit it is allowed. So the size of that peripheral or the whatever the transmission media is low, number of register is less, right? And number of data executed by a CPU in a single cycle is less. So because of that, it is used for only small function, or very single function execution will be done with the that one. Next, 8-bit microcontroller. So most abundant and widely used type, offering a good balance of cost and performance for a vast array of application. So this 8-bit microcontroller is mostly used because it have a good speed of execution, good memory, and number of instruction and data will be executed in a single cycle. So what are the characteristic of that? It operate on data of 8-bit chunk, so the execution will be a more. In last controller, it only 4-bit, it is a 8-bit, so the twice of that one. Typically have 8-bit data bus, so speed of execution is large. Obtaining a 16-bit addresses bus to access more memory, so it have a more capacity of memory. Where they are used, the found in an embedded system like motor control unit, digital telephone keypads, basic industrial process control. So number of multiple uh, application will be a work by a 8-bit microcontroller, not a single application, because the speed of execution is more, number of data executed per cycle is more, and the memory is also be a greater. So 8051 series is the classic example of 8-bit microcontroller. That will be considered 8051 is a classic example for the microcontroller. Next is a 16-bit microcontroller. The characteristic of 16-bit microcontroller, it features of 16-bit data, so speed of execution is large, memory is large, number of application will be a work simultaneously. The address register, um, allowing them to be a handle a wider range of numbers and memory addresses more effectively, right? So they often require less ROM than their 8-bit. The counter peripheral for small tasks. The application are used in application that require moderate complexity, real-time processing, such as the data acquisition system, supervisory control, data acquisition SCADA, automotive engine control. Example like include the TI MS P4303. So 16-bit microcontroller having a more capability and it work on a complex application. Complex application is like that it have a multiple application which will be executed by a single controller, right? It may be about, suppose a single microcontroller which handle the number of home applications appliances is like a door, is like a fire, is like a fan, light, fridge controlling, then whatever the security parameter like cameras, that all will be handled by a single controller. So complex possibility which will be possible. There's ATM system is one of the complex parameter that will be also be done by the microcontroller. So because of high large data bit, it have a speed of execution, more peripherals width because of the internal transaction between the CPU input output device will be a large, and number of data executed by a CPU in a single cycle is a more. So it is a you are handled by the more complexity. Last is related with 32 bits microcontroller. These are the high performance microcontroller designed for the uh, uh, com- uh, computationally intensive and memory depending application, obtaining dominating motor or whatever the modern IoT. So whatever the AIML and IoT based application which having require more speed of execution and more application at a same time, that time we use a 32-bit microcontroller. What are the characteristics of that? Offering superior processing speed, speed of execution is a superior, high, higher clock frequency, significantly larger addressable memory space. So space is more in the form of gigabytes of RAM. They typically use in advanced ARM architecture. So what are the application of that one? Is it ideal for the robotics? That is a complexity. It will be interfacing of number of application, complex industrial process control, networking equipment, multimedia devices, and any application require extensive data processing, connectivity, and a rich user interface. So 32-bit microcontroller are mostly used for the high performance, high speed execution with large number of data. So these are the classification which have a microcontroller, and it's depend. Just I repeat that it's depend upon three parameter. First is their internal width of their internal data bus, the size of their data register, and the amount of data the CPU can be processed in a single instruction cycle. That will be impacting performance, memory capacity, and application stability. So it have a four type: 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit microcontroller. So this is a basic overview of the classification of microcontroller, right?